Mr. Tegbade, going forward now, we know we know that the committee set up by the president has delivered its report. Now, going forward, what is in that report? How do we want to ensure that the National Emergency Management Agency will ensure that in the near future, if any other incident occur, they will be the one in charge managing. Yes, fire service will do their bit. The police ought to be trained to be able to contribute, just as Philip has said, and the other organizations, NGOs and so on, they do their bit.
And
but in terms
community.
and community as well, we should all be prepared. But NEMA, the national body that coordinates emergency management, what is the template for the future and how do you plan to make it happen?
Well, thank you very much. Our design is to, like I said, it's not as if we have to reinvent the wheel. There are already procedures and processes that are already set in place. One major aspect is what I just talked about, the National Contingency Plan. This is already worked out. What we are looking for now is for all other agencies to be strengthened. That's when I say all other agencies, including even NEMA itself, in terms of manpower, in terms of equipment. If all other agencies are strengthened, the coordinating is not any problem. We have a good working relationship with all the agencies, and we have already, it's not the first time that we've been working together. You know, all those ones are already sorted out. It's just for some of the recommendations that have been made by this high power technical committee. If they begin to, if they, with the actualization, essentially is to further empower the agencies. So what we have, I'll give you an example. I'm sorry, I always give this example. Like the flood, for example, the lead agency for flood is supposed to be Federal Fire Service. But the Federal Fire Service will know the state of their equipment. If the Federal Fire Service will be equipped such that they can do what is required for them to do, then our job in NEMA to coordinate will be a lot easier. But what we have going on now is that because many of these other agencies are not well equipped, NEMA has to go around, you know, trying to raise whatever equipment it can raise, make liaison with some other, even private and commercial organizations. In fact, like during the rescue operations that I told you about, we had to even take on commercial boats to do this evacuation. So bottom line, I would say that if all other agencies, if every agency of government is empowered with enough manpower, trained manpower, and requisite equipment, NEMA is on top of coordination. We are capable of doing the coordination, and we have been doing that effectively.
Thank you very much for your contribution. But before you go, let me just ask you this one final question. Will it be right to say that NEMA's responsibility is practically tactical and strategic rather than being actively involved in the day-to-day running of emergencies or management of emergencies? Will that be? I just need a yes or no, and then we can wrap this conversation.
Thank you very much. You have just taken the words out of my mouth. Like I said, NEMA's job is essentially coordinating. And if I may borrow your words, it is strategic. However, that does not preclude us participating at both the tactical and the operational level to coordinate also what is happening on the field. However, we need all our other stakeholders to be up and doing, to have required manpower, to have required equipment to do their bit on the ground at the operational level and at the tactical level.
Very much, Mr. Otegbade. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and we do appreciate. In the near future, we'll be truly delighted if there is any need for you or the DG to speak with us. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me quickly swing to Honorable here. The flooding seemed to have been more devastating than it would otherwise have been, mainly because people refused to heed the warnings given. So what is the state government doing now to try and get people to listen and to actually remove themselves from
harm's way.
Yes.
Terrible. The truth is that you can imagine what it is. 70, 60, 50 years of your life, somewhere you've known to be your dwelling home and nowhere else. When you receive all the batterings every day, that's where you go to lay your head. It's not an easy thing. Even I was thinking about it myself. I'm lucky where my house is in Asaba. It's more away from the upland area. But the house I grew up in, my father's house, is just by the bank of the Niger. And even his neighbor's house has been totally overrun. But he is still a bit lucky. And the old man, he's 85 years old. I went to see him the other day. He says to me, he's not going anywhere. He's upstairs. My father is a medical doctor. You know, but of course, if push comes to shove, we'll go and just carry him away from there, you know.
Physically
yes,
moving.
yes, definitely. So that's not the point. But I just want to tell you, if such a man can feel that way, but that is the kind of advocacy we've been doing. You know, this committee that the deputy governor heads in Delta, we've put it all out there that it is only those that can survive these very terrible times. Then we can start talking about reconstruction and rehabilitation of lives later on. Of course, government will come in.
It's a temporary move.
Yes, yes, we're doing all that. Government will come in, you know, do what it can and, you know, try and make life bearable. But in all this, of course, you know, there's been lots of casualties. There was a traditional ruler who was so hesitant. I think he died in Abo, the traditional ruler of the town. We've had people, you know, a lot of casualties over the place. You know, so these are the problems.
Stock, though, Chike, if we're taking stock,
yes,
in terms of number of people that might have lost their lives, because it puts it in perspective. Do you have an idea? Do you have statistics to share with us in terms of numbers of people that might have lost their lives in the Delta experience of this flood?
You see, Delta situation, like I said to you, is such a dynamic situation. So we just keep. By the time I got on the plane yesterday to come here, I can imagine what has happened between then and now. But I know we've had quite a number of deaths. It must be approaching the hundreds, definitely. Oh, certainly, because some people were asleep when the thing just came and sucked them away. You know, and one of the reasons why I came here was that, you know, very, very importantly, please, I need to say this. Every Deltan, every, you know, like adult Deltan, anywhere in Nigeria, must please come home. You see, when you're on TV and you're hearing me speak, that's why I actually came, or whoever else is talking. Yes, it's a national tragedy. And indeed, everybody else from every state. I implore them all to go back home and see the kind of devastation. You see, the images I'm looking at on my iPad, you've been putting out on the screen, they are all, thank God for social media, any of the social media network, they all have it there. They still cannot give you, he knows what I'm talking about. They cannot give you a vivid idea of what is going on. And the kind of hygiene stroke health risk that, look, I said these things are washing livestock, burial grounds, sewages, everything. And we even still have some of our children playing in it and thinking it's a river. We had to beg parents, take them away. And they're trying to even fish in it. People are fishing in their houses because fish is nice. And we are saying anything in that water is polluted. It's not fit for human consumption.
And
these are all the things we're trying
media yesterday carried reports that hippos and crocodiles
also some wild
now in
creatures.
people's houses.
Definitely.
In Lokoja,
definitely.
for instance,
In Asaba, everywhere.
In Lokoja, at least I visited a home. A snake went into that house and killed some chickens. I was able to take very vivid pictures.
Thank
so
God
it's
it
not
was chickens.
Well, of course, some other people died from a land of a man who
Snake bites.
was trying to push his car away from one of the flooded areas, and he was beaten and he died. So this is happening, and of course you have scorpions too. That's the case of Lokoja, and that's what is replicated everywhere. So this is a state of disaster. We're not even looking at the impact on food security.
Yes.
We're not looking at the health, the likelihood of cholera immediately after the floods, you know, start receding. So it's a disaster. There's need for a coordinated approach to this. I still want to go back to the NEMA man. In spite of whatever, yes, NEMA has done a lot, but the federal and state governments must come in and key into this effort, because
state and local governments.
State and local governments must keep. Well, when I say federal, when you are talking about
NEMA is federal.
No, I'm talking about what they should do. Well, maybe on the long term, look at the issue of the dams we mentioned, the buffers. Who is supposed to do that?